Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we are diving deep into Friedrich Nietzsche's most ambitious, volcanic, and honestly probably his most misunderstood work, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. We're going to focus heavily on part one of this incredible text today. Our goal here is to strip away all those decades of historical baggage and pop culture misconceptions, because what we're going to reveal is not some dark, pessimistic doctrine. It's actually a deeply personal, wildly provocative guide to creating your own meaning in a totally chaotic world. So let's see what happens when the philosopher comes down from the mountain. We're starting with a massive jolt. You absolutely know the quote, right? But remember, this isn't some triumphant celebration of atheism. The madman crying this out in the marketplace is horrified. He is diagnosing a profound cultural catastrophe. He's talking about the total collapse of the foundational structure that gave Western civilization its meaning, its morality, and its entire sense of order. And this brilliant, terrifying realization brings us right to the concept of nihilism. You see, the madman actually follows up his famous cry by saying, "I come too early. This tremendous event is still on its way." There's this huge lag time between the collapse of our foundational structures and our actual awareness of that collapse. We are literally living in the ruins, still mouthing these moral formulas we no longer truly believe in. We've lost the old foundation, but we just haven't built a new one yet. This lived condition of total meaninglessness is what sets the stage. It is exactly why the teachings of Zarathustra are so desperately needed. All right, part one, the prophet comes down. After 10 years of total solitude up on a mountain, Zarathustra is just overflowing with wisdom, and he decides he has to descend and share it with humanity. But when Zarathustra finally descends into the marketplace, the center of public life where comfort is basically the currency, he faces a really harsh reality. He discovers the crowd isn't waiting for a prophet at all. They just want a tightrope walker, a literal circus act. They want entertainment, not revelation. Nietzsche uses this to point out something absolutely crucial about human nature. Society fundamentally prefers distraction over being fundamentally changed. The audience just doesn't want the heavy burden of transformation. Moving to part two, demolishing the old world. Before we can build anything new, we have to clear away a century of misreadings and political distortions. Many of these were actually deliberately engineered by his sister, Elizabeth, to fit her own ideologies. Let's look at the two biggest myths. First up is the will to power. Now, the myth, which was heavily influenced by fascist misreadings, is that this is all about imperialism, aggression, and the domination of others. The reality? It is simply the fundamental drive of all living things to grow, to overcome, and to expand their own capacity. Think of a tiny plant relentlessly reaching for the sunlight, or a scholar mastering a really difficult text, or even just you overcoming a personal fear. That is the will to power. It is about self-growth. It's definitely not about shrinking others down to make yourself look large. And this brings us to the most notoriously misunderstood concept of the whole bunch, the Übermensch, which is often translated as the Superman or Overman. The myth claims this is some biological master race or a license for cruelty, and honestly, nothing could be further from the truth. The reality is that the Übermensch is an ethical possibility. It's not about dominating anyone else. Actually, scratch that. It's about taking absolute responsibility for your own existence. It's the person who creates their own values rather than just blindly inheriting them, and who affirms life entirely. Part 3, Camel, Lion, and Child. To actually become the Übermensch, Zarathustra gives us this brilliant psychological blueprint for existential evolution. He calls it the 3 metamorphoses. Let's walk through this incredible transformation arc together. Step 1 is the camel. Now, the camel is strong, it's admirable, and it bears the incredibly heavy weight of inherited traditions, family expectations, and duty. It kneels down and obeys, saying, "Thou shalt." But the camel is trapped by all that weight, so wandering into the lonely desert, it transforms into step 2, the lion. The lion rebels, it slays the dragon of tradition, and it roars, "I will." It destroys the old rules to create freedom. But here's the catch, the lion can only destroy. To build something brand new requires step 3, the child. The child represents a sacred yes and totally innocent creation. The absolutely crucial point here is this. The camel obeys, the lion destroys, but only the child creates. True freedom isn't just saying no to things, it's having the capacity to create from scratch. Part 4. Becoming the Übermensch. Understanding that it is a bridge and not an end. Zarathustra explains this with a truly brilliant metaphor. He says, man is a rope tied between beast and Übermensch, a rope over an abyss. You see, the Übermensch isn't just a destination you arrive at and then put your feet up and relax. What is truly great in us is that we are a bridge. Greatness lies right there in the tension. It lies in remaining stretched out over the abyss, completely refusing to collapse back into the easy comfort of the marketplace, and acting as a bridge to something that is constantly beyond ourselves. Part 5. The heaviest weight. This is the ultimate existential test. So, I want to ask you directly right now. Just imagine a demon crept into your room during your absolute loneliest night and told you that this exact life, exactly as you are living it right now, with all of its pain, its deep boredom, its mistakes, and its fleeting joys, would repeat infinitely. Nothing new. Just an endless loop of this exact sequence, forever. How would you react to that? Would you throw yourself down and curse the demon? Or would you say, never have I heard anything more divine? This wild thought experiment is called the eternal recurrence. Now, it isn't meant to be literal physics or cosmology. It is a creative standard. It reveals whether you are a true yes-sayer, someone who loves life so deeply that you view it as a necessary work of art, embracing even the intense suffering. If the thought completely terrifies you, well, it means you are still trapped in nihilism. You're wishing for an escape, hoping for some different life instead of truly owning the one you actually have. Part 6. A philosophy for daily life. Because how do we actually apply Zarathustra in the real world? Let's look at how to apply this philosophy practically, every single day. In the morning you wake up and apply that eternal recurrence. Ask yourself, how can I live this specific day so it is actually worth repeating forever? If you hate your routine, change it. At work, when you see a bad idea, don't just be the lion complaining and saying no. Act as the child. Propose a cool alternative. Create something better. With your family, drop the camel's heavy burden of having to be the perfect, all-knowing authority. Just admit, I don't know, and explore things together. And at night, do a little Nietzschean review. Ask yourself, where was I a camel today? Where was I a lion? And where was I a child? This takes abstract philosophy and turns it into daily self-sculpting. As we wrap up our journey through Zarathustra's descent, we are left with this incredibly powerful command: remain faithful to the earth. Nietzsche is reminding us here that meaning isn't just waiting to be discovered in some otherworldly safety net. Nobody is coming down from the clouds to save us or tell us what is right. Meaning is actively created right here, right now, in the present moment, in this very body, on this earth. Which brings us to our final, lingering thought. Because if there are no prepackaged answers anymore, and if the old structures have completely fallen away, well, the pen is entirely in your hands. You are the sole author of your values. So I'm going to leave you with this. Look at the choices you are making today. Are you building a life you would want to live again eternally? It's a terrifying question for sure, but an endlessly liberating one. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you leave today ready to carry that creative fire forward.